good morning, namaste. But today, more than even that, is Sat Sri Akal and Ji Ayanu. Very, very warm welcome, viewers, to a state of the northern part of India. Of course, I'll be slightly more partial today to the state because I happen to be also from the state that we are bringing to you today, the state of the Green Revolution of India, Punjab. So therefore, Sat Sri Akal and Ji Ayanu to all the viewers who've logged in today to join us in this beautiful journey of incredible India as we go forward and see and show to you the incredible gems and jewels of our heritage, culture, both built heritage and the intangible heritage. So thank you viewers for supporting us so very well. We are on our 52nd webinar and it is so encouraging that every single time we get so much support from all of you. So do keep logging in because we're going to keep bringing you the beautiful, incredible India as we go forward in the weeks to come. Today is also a very special day because it's a Teachers' Day. And if we talk of the teachers, I think the most important people to be remembered at the moment you open your eyes is your mother and your father. And we start our journey of learning from our parents and in Indian heritage and culture, and I'm sure everywhere else in the world too. Parents remain the most significant people of our life, whatever we may become, however important, however, you attain positions, whatever you do, but your first learning starts with your parents. So today, I think all of us must remember our parents. If they are living, I think we are very fortunate and blessed to have them with us. And even if they're in your memories, well, then do something special because they were truly your first teachers. So a very happy Teachers' Day to all of you. And as we go forward today, taking you to Punjab, a land of bounty, zest, color, but food, but also people who have a lot of heritage and culture. Punjab, incidentally, because of the way it's located, has been a kind of a welcoming spot and also a melting pot in so many ways for people who would come and enter into the subcontinent from the west of the world. We are not going to be able to tell you too much because there are 4 panelists today telling us the journey of the beautiful Virasat of Punjab. So we're going to start today with what Punjab is so very well known for, the food of Punjab. Who can forget the lovely Madi dal, the tandoori chicken, and so much more. Not to forget, of course, sarson da saag, makke di roti, and lassi. So that's going to be our first speaker, Jaswinder. He's joining us from Chandigarh. He is graduated from the Hotel Management Institute at Chandigarh and has been doing food for almost 20 years. And I'm sure he's a foodie, so he'll tell you a lot more about it. Then we have Lipika. Lipika is actually an academician and has been so much associated with tourism, with culture, with Virasat. And I'm not going to tell you what she's going to show you because she's truly going to show you a place you cannot not go to when in Punjab. And then we are going to have somebody familiar. We've had her earlier with us, Lady Kishwar Desai, and she took us on a beautiful journey of a very poignant part of our history from Punjab, the Jallianwala Bagh. And so welcome Kishwarji once again to share so much that you know about Punjab with us. And last but not the least today, we have Shri Harjap Singh Aujla ji, who's also going to tell you some very interesting vignettes from Punjab. So without wasting further time, I welcome all the 4 panelists and request any GD, our technical supporter, without whom we could not have been where we are, to first let's do a quick movie on Punjab, and then we pass on the screen to Jaswinder ji to take us on a good Saturday morning breakfast. Thank you, NEGD. Jaswinder, request you to start your session.
Right. Right. So today's is the topic about the Punjab, Sat Sindhu, Punjab, on Panch Nanda. This is the name of our Punjab. We will in tourism speciality, Amritsar and tourism speciality, and something very unique about our Punjab. So this is the Punjab we talk about before 1947. For centuries, Punjab has stood bravely guarding the northwestern frontier of India. It was ravaged by countless battles and plundered by invaders from far and wide. Added to this was the heart-wrenching partition that broken away a large portion of this fertile state. Valiant spirit of its people always managed to rebuild and prosper each time. Remains of Indus Valley civilization seen at Ropar. It finds mention in the Mahabharata also and Ramayana also that it was written at a site in Amritsar. Afghan, Mughal, Turks carried out several attacks so many times. Punjab is the land of Sikhi. Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who is the founder of Sikhism and the first of the 10th Sikh Guru, who was born in the year 1469 at Nankana Sahib, now in Pakistan. Punjab has been home to several brave warriors like Banda Singh Bahadur and legendary Maharaja Ranjit Singh Ji. And this is belongs to Maharaja Ranjit Singh Ji. Maharaja Ranjit Singh, popularly known as Sher-e Punjab and Lion of Punjab, was the leader of Sikh Empire, which ruled the northwest Indian subcontinent in early of 19th century. Definition of Punjab: land of gurus, saints, Sufis, land of five rivers, bread basket of India, granary of India, land of martyrs, land of beads, Bhangra beads, land of big things, heart, wedding fairs, festivals, celebration. Everything is in big size. This is the division of Punjab. Punjab is further divided into three parts: Majha, Malwa, and Doaba. So there are three takht. Takhts are basically means a throne or seat of authority, which relics the religion of Sikhism. And Akal Takht means eternal throne. Akal Takht is the supreme throne of immortal of Panch Takht and is situated inside Golden Temple complex in Amritsar. Second one is the Takht Shri Kesgarh Sahib, which is situated at Anandpur Sahib by the bed of river Satluj. And third one is the Damdama Sahib, the fifth Takht, which is situated village of Talwandi Sabo near Bathinda, Punjab. So some of the festival of Punjab are Teej, celebrated in the month of August by girls and women, which is dedicated to the onset of the monsoon. The festivity continues for the entire month of Sawan. Baisakhi, the story of the festival of Baisakhi began with the martyrdom of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, the ninth Guru, who was publicly beheaded by Aurangzeb. In 1699, the 10th Guru, who in the occasion of Baisakhi, he transformed the Sikh into family of soldier saints known as Khalsa Panth. Baisakhi is celebrated with lot of joy and enthusiasm in the northern side of Punjab because of its harvesting festival, which celebrated all over the Punjab. Basant Panchami, it falls on Basant, also called Basant Panchami according to the Punjabi calendar. It is held on the 5th day of lunar month of Magh. And Hola Mahalla or Hola Mahalla, simply Hola is a Sikh festival that takes place on the first of the lunar month of Chet, falls in March. Hola Mahalla is basically mock fight, which was introduced by Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji himself in the year February 1701. And this is the culture and folk of Punjab. You can see the Bhangra and Gitta. They are the major attraction all over the world. And now I'll talk about something about Patiala. Patiala is a city, southeastern Punjab, northwestern India. It is the fourth largest city. Patiala is located around the Kila Mubarak, and it was constructed by Sidhu Jaj Ala Singh ji. And Patti is the strip of land, and Ala, the strip of land, and belongs to Ala Singh, is become the land of Allah. And tourist attraction of uh, Patiala, there's one Kali Devi Mandir. The Murti of Ma Kali at the Sri Kali Devi Temple, Patiala, was commissioned by Sikh ruler of Patiala, Maharaja Bhupinder Singh Ji, in 1936. Gurudwara Dukh Nivaran Sahib, Guru of Sikhs, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, during his sojourn at Shefabad, he requested that the Guru might be pleased to visit and bless his village so that its inhabitant could be rid of severe and mysterious sickness. So that's why Duknivaran literally means eradicator of suffering. Devotees have faith in the healing qualities of water in Srovar. Gurdwara Moti Bagh is also there. Bahadurgarh Fort, another Kila Mubarak complex is there in Patiala, which is built in 18th century. It is in around 10 acre of ground in the heart of city, contains the main palace or Kila Androon. Outside the Kila are the Darshani Gate, a Shiva temple, and a bazaar shop which border the streets that run around the Kila and sell precious ornament, colorful handwoven fabric, juti, bride, prandis, etc. And Patiala is famous for juti, Patiala Shahi Pug, prandi, and world's famous Patiala peg. Now we'll talk about something about the Amritsar. Amritsar, historically also known as Ramdaspur, and Amritsar is the second most popular city in the Indian state of Punjab. The city is located in the Majha region of Punjab. Amritsar is home to Harmandir Sahib, popularly known as Golden Temple. There's the Bhagwan Valmiki Tirth Sthal situated at Amritsar is believed to be the ashram site of Maharishi Valmiki, the writer of Ramayana, and uh, nearby city of Amritsar, Lahore and Kasur were said to be founded by Love and Kush. These are the some of the uh, tourist attraction near Amritsar, Jallianwala Bagh, Khalsa College, Amritsar, the Gobindgarh Fort, and Wagah border. Now we talk about something about the food of Punjab, dhabas, and concept of langar. So Punjabi food is uh, rich, robust, and full of life, like Punjabis. Bold texture, hearty ingredients are what make Punjabi cuisine so popular all across North India. You can find Shere Punjab from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. You will find this particular restaurant with the name of Shere Punjab. And dhaba is the restaurant uh, by the roadside, which is very popular, and trucks and motorades are used to relish food uh, during their transit. And langar. Langar, since the time of Guru Nanak, the first Guru of the Sikh people who started the tradition in 1481, The Golden Temple in Amritsar has been serving free hot meals, also known as langar, to people of all religion faiths who come to its door every day. This is the mega kitchen who serves around 1 lakh portion daily to the devotees. There are some of the speciality of Punjabi cuisine beyond the butter chicken and butter naan, and this is ash kori champa, kushk mahi kebab, shahi bharta, shalgam ghost, pili mirch wala kukkad, dum bharwa karele, kodre di roti, and the use of millet was there in Punjab, but nowadays we won't find any millets in our daily diets too. And Jassa Singh Ramgadia, I want to share something about these two people. Sardar Jassa Singh Ramgadia captured the Red Fort of Delhi in conjunction with Sardar Baghel Singh. He detached the throne of Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb and brought it on elephants and kept it at Golden Temple, Amritsar. Even today, it is present at the Golden Temple known as Ramgadia Bunga. Hari Singh Nalua ji. Hari Singh Nalua was the commander-in-chief of the Sikh Khalsa Force, which was introduced by Maharaja Ranjit Singh ji. These are the some of the famous personality of Punjab. I don't think I have to give introduction to great martyrs like Bhagat Singh ji and Milkha Singh, Manmohan Singh ji, uh, Bhagat Puran Singh ji, who introduced the Pingalwada in the society, who takes care of the sick, disabled, and abandoned, forlorn people. Shobha Singh ji, one of the greatest Indian artists who painted great picture of Guru Nanak Dev ji and Guru Gobind Singh ji belongs to this place. And Manmohan Singh ji, who was our two-time Prime Minister before Modi ji, and Kapil Dev, who is the former Indian cricket captain, Bhai Ram Singh ji, who is inventor and master of Sikh architecture. You can see the art that he has drawn, Khalsa College, Amritsar. And do you know world's costliest place in Punjab? It's in Fatehgarh Sahib. The piece of land for cremation of two youngest sons and mother of 10th Guru of Sikhs is the most expensive land ever on this planet. You can see the picture. Todar Malji, who is the devotee of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, managed somehow to do the cremation. It is estimated that at least 78,000 gold coins were required to buy this particular small piece of land. Now, this is the temple of Shiva. This is the Mukteshwar Mahadev temple, and it is situated in Pathankot city near Shahpur Kandi. And it represents Ganesha ji, Brahma ji, Vishnu ji, Hanuman ji, and Parvati. It is considered to be one of the most sacred places around Pathankot. According to legend, the Pandavas stayed in the caves for night during their exile, and it is said that some of the caves date of the time of Mahabharata. This is the archaeological sites in Punjab, Sanghol village, where you can see the it's in Uchapind and Dolapur, Hoshiarpur, and Harappan site in Punjab. Where there you can see the excavated. When they excavated, they saw that the tandoor is the part of Indian culinary from 5000 BC back. So this is all about my presentation. Over to you, Lipika ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaswinder. I will just, Lipika, before you mention, there are two things that viewers ask. One about Taba. People are saying, where did Taba word come from? Possibly from Dabba. Possibly. I'm not so sure, but we probably ask the others later. The other one person that I would definitely like to mention at this point, because Jaswinder spoke about the tradition of langar that we have in gurudwaras all over the world. Well, I'm going to read, in fact, a little bit on that. That the institution of langar, as we all know, and I'm sure at some point of time you've all experienced it, is a tradition that was established from the Golden Temple, Harmandir Sahib Ji, about 500 years ago. And interestingly, in part, the credit goes to a woman. And who was she? Mata Khiviji. Mata Khiviji was the wife of Guru Angad Dev Ji. He was the second Sikh Guru. And he helped, she helped, I should say, helped establish the concept of a free kitchen that provided meals for everyone in the community. So there is reference, interestingly, to Mata Khiviji even in the Guru Granth Sahib. So viewers, it's a tradition that we are very, very proud of and is so much a part of the culture and traditions of Sikhism. So that's all I wanted to interrupt with. Over to you, Lipika.
That yes, I was like having the goosebumps also. I enjoyed that. Moving to the next, as you can see the screen at the back, but these were the spots, tourist spots, which are told by Jaswinder sir. But now I will take you to the virtual tour to the one of the famous museum, which is just like another feather in the cap of Punjab. That is Virasat-e Khalsa. You can see the picture over here. This is just not a museum, but it's just a magnificent building with the religious importance. It serves to attract tourists and the pilgrim as well. This results in a consultation between the religion and the emerging need in the building environment. Virasat-e Khalsa, a museum of Sikhism, located in the holy town Anandpur Sahib near Chandigarh. It is established on 13th April 1999. The museum celebrates 500 years of Sikh history and the 300th anniversary of the birth of Khalsa. The year 1999 marked the 300th anniversary of the birth of Khalsa. So, to commemorate this event, Government of Punjab envisioned the Virasat-e Khalsa at Anandpur Sahib. And actually, let me take you to the incidents what happened at the time of birth of Khalsa. So this is a picture which is beautifully representing the birth of Khalsa. Actually, on 13th April 1699, on the Kayan of Baisakhi, the 10th Guru, Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, formally instituted the Khalsa Panth at Anandpur Sahib by initiating 5 persons from the different social backgrounds to form Khalsa, means the pure ones. You can see the 5 Khalsas over here. This is just a picture. And yes, you can see at this particular place only today on the same site stands the majestic Gurudwara Takht Shri Keshgढ़ Sahib. Jaswinder sir already explained very well about the takhts. And if you go about the background of the Virasat-e Khalsa, so Khalsa Heritage Complex showcases the Punjab's rich cultural heritage and the history to the outside world, and the site for the Virasat-e Khalsa Museum was selected for its direct relation to the nearby features of the local geography, history, as well as the religious significance. And the surrounding historical Anandpur Sahib Gurdwara and the fort is the main focus of this area. And must say the famous architect Moshe Safdie, who is actually the chief designer and the architect of the Virasat-e Khalsa Museum complex, he said that a building cannot be experienced as independent of its land in which it's rooted. So this is a perfect place for the museum. It is spread in 120 acres and is 85 kilometers from Chandigarh. It has already broken various records and has been recognized as the most visited museum in the Indian subcontinent, and therefore enters the Limca Book of Records. Well, this is not the end, it's just the beginning, because it has got listed in the World Book of Records for registering the massive footfall of the visitors in one single day. As per the reports, on March 2019, it witnessed a footfall of 2,569,000 visitors at the museum on one single day. Moreover, it is already listed in the India Book of Records, Asia Book of Records, and even got the certificate of excellence by the popular travel website. So I suppose I had talked much about that. And if you talk about the museum, you will be wander across the campus and you would see how the museum transport you to the journey of 550 years of Sikh history, and that through from the 26 galleries. And when you talk about its structure, so there are 2 structures actually. The smaller western complex include an entrance plaza, an auditorium with 400 capacity, and 2-story research and as well as library. And library also include the library of the museum. And the eastern complex include the round memorial building as well as the extensive permanent exhibition space consisting of the 2 cluster of the galleries. I'm taking to the galleries now. So let's begin with the virtual journey. Yes, with the first building, you can see a very beautiful building. This is in a shape of the boat, and it is also known as a boat building or the heritage building. The design of this building is influenced, actually whole building is influenced by the Gurudwara Sahib, fort, and the mountains as well. And from the top of this building, you can see this from the particular top, one can see the image of the Gurudwara Sahib in the water on the ground. That is a speciality of this building. And moving to the next, that is block 2 building, that is known as a patel building. You can see the very beautiful flat petals over there, and everybody is having their own words about these petals. Somebody say these are the 5 Khalsas of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, but actually each petal of the building houses a gallery tracing the life history of the first 5 Sikh Gurus, from Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji till Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji, and it includes all the things regarding their birth to attaining salvation or the martyrdom. Go to the next, that is the block 3. Again, it exhibits and narrates the life of Guru Har Gobind Singh Ji from the next 5 Gurus, from Shri Guru Har Gobind Singh Ji to Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and it interestingly displayed through the murals, installations, animations, as well as the short films. And if you see the rooftop over here, it is with a special stainless steel, which symbolically reflects the skylight towards the Gurudwara Sahib. That is the main, you can say, the beauty of the building as well. And moving to the building itself, this is the first gallery and the, you can say, first block of the building. This is known as Panchpani because it actually symbolically reflects the Punjab, the fertile land. Just in the I already told this, and it has been identified from the 5 rivers which from Himalayas north, and sorry, this one. So Panchpani or Punjab is well displayed here in this particular building. It showcases the world's largest hand-painted murals in the world, created by none other than the famous artist Mr. Urjit Sen. And if you will wonder to see that these paintings shows the past and the present culture of the Punjab in 360-degree view. And it is one of the world's largest mural work, spanning over the 3 floors, displaying the various seasons, festivals, daily life, and the tradition of the Punjab. And these hand painting murals are displayed with the help of the program lights. And even if you will see, this is the picture of Golden Temple, and this is shown through the LCD screen, and you can see the movements of the people also over there. And if you move forward, this is actually the gallery, and when you enter this gallery, it's actually pitch darky, and suddenly you hear the sound of the birds, and it begins with the dawn of the day, taking you through the memorial stories, Punjabi festivals, rituals, Golden Temple of the historic times, and ending with the setting of the sun. When you move into this particular gallery or the whole museum itself, you feel some story going around and you are the part of it. And at the beginning, so you will, and you can even see some people dancing over there because of the music over at the back. It's actually very good. Moving to the next, that is gallery 2. Sorry, the gallery 2. As I told you, it's a story. So this story begins with the 15th century Punjab. So this particular gallery shows the 15th century Punjab, and in the 15th century Punjab, the Punjab was under the rule of the Lodi dynasty. So casteism, discrimination, as well as it was very common, and superstitiousness was there. So it's all displayed with the help of the murals as well as the wooden cut work. And after the gallery 2, you are given with an audio guide with the language selection option. It is one of those automated ones which sense the gallery you are into and start guiding accordingly. And as you start the journey with your headphones or with the audio guides, the very mind relaxing Ekam car takes over to the gallery 3. This is what it is. And this particular gallery exhibits the Sikhism, the way of life. And it shows the Ekam car, and this particular Ekam car has been created with the fiber optics and the crystals, and this exhibits with a special sound effect and an audio message highlighting the core principles of Sikhism. And it's in the center of the building, as I showed you in the back screens. There is one drum-like building, and this is in the center of the drum-like building. And this particular has been displayed with the help of the thematic carpets, which adorns the part of the building. And these carpets are weaved by the weavers from the Mirzapur. They have been roped up because in order to complete the task. And move to the gallery 4, because I'm taking you to the galleries. As I told you the story, so beginning with this is also the first patel of the patel building. It covers the life history of the Sikh Guru, first Sikh Guru, Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and his life stories and his 5 major udasis. And same has been showcased with the help of the miniature paintings, as Guruji Ji is known as the second most traveled person in the world, and he has traveled more than 28,000 kilometers, that too on foot, and that is the main speciality of Guruji, and it has been displayed beautifully in this gallery. And move to the next gallery, a very beautiful gallery again. This gallery shows where Guru Nanak Dev Ji finally settled. He settled at Kartarpur, so it has been displayed Kartarpur, where the new brotherhood of the devotees were formed, and Guruji bestowed upon Pai Lana the Guruship and gave him the name Guru Angad Dev Ji. And this gallery also exhibits Guruji at Kartarpur, and the exhibition has been done with the help of the embroidered panel. And the white light, you can see these white lights, these are upside down, these are the paper lights actually, and it gives a very beautiful spiritual ambience to the whole gallery. Move to the next, that is gallery number 6, which is devoted to Guru Angad Dev Ji and Guru Amar Das Ji. And this gallery is divided into two by creating a bauli in the middle. I couldn't have the pic of it, but yes, it's a bauli in the middle to highlight Guru's contribution. It is showcased with the help of the optical illusion. Guru Angad Ji established the Sikh center, and he refined the Gurumukhi script also. And Guru Amar Das Ji dedicated his services to uplift the status of the women in the society. So it has been showcased with the help of the murals, LEDs, leather puppets, and the Indian crafts as well. So moving to the, this is how it is. Actually, the pictures are showing that leather puppets as well as these cut works. And this is the way to move towards the other galleries. This is the corridor, you can say, and it is beautifully depicted with the help of the projected lights. Then gallery 7, this is Guru Ramdas Ji gallery. This gallery is again the 4th petal of the building, and it exhibits the contribution of Guru Ramdas Ji, including the construction of Ramdaspur, that is Amritsar, told by chef again. The city of Ramdaspur has been created on in a very beautiful embroidered panel, and this gallery is highlighted with the backlit fabric panel. You can see at the back, this is a backlit fabric. And move to the next, that is gallery 8. The gallery 8 is the 5th petal of the petal building. This is, it shows the key event in the history of the Sikhism, that is the construction of Harmandir Sahib and writing and installation of Ad Granth. A pathway leading to this gallery has a replica of Harmandir Sahib, and the passage include the Zardozi panel. And the gallery has glowing representation of the Prakash Thal. And moreover, around the central installation are shown the stories related to the establishment of Ad Granth. 4 arc-shaped doorways around it recreates the different scenes describing the life and the time of Guru Arjan Dev Ji. And even the next gallery, gallery 9th, is devoted to Guru Arjan Dev Ji. As everybody knows about the martyrdom of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, it is shown in the form of the stainless steel sculpture on the terrace, which depicts Tatti Tavi. Tatti Tavi is the tavi which has been used in order to torture by Mughal to Guruji. Guruji was made to sit on a burning hot seat, and this sculpture depicts that how Guruji would have felt the heat of being roasted alive. And this is the saddest incident in the history of Sikhism, but yes, this is the truth. Moving to the next, that is gallery number 10th and 11th, devoted to Guru Hargobind Ji, who initiated the process of militarization of the Sikh believers to enable to fight injustice and tyranny. It has been shown with the help of the layered cuts, murals, and the LED lights. And even the gallery number 11 include the life history of the next 2 gurus, Guru Har Rai Ji and Guru Har Krishan Ji, dedicated their life to introduce the social reforms. And it has been shown on the walls of the gallery. Move to the next, that is gallery number, gallery 12. That is the, which is devoted to Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. And it has shown the martyrdom of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji and even the Guruship of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. It has, as it has shown the new direction in the Sikhism. So various cutouts and the moving screens are used in order to show it to you. Moreover, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji is known as Hindi Chadar, as he offered the supreme sacrifice to protect the faith of Kashmiri Pandit. So it has been displayed very beautiful with the help of these screens and the lights. His son Guru Gobind Singh Ji had hired to maintain the Guruship, and as a saint, a warrior, and a poet, he bravely defeated the chief of the hill kingdoms in the successive battles, and also fortified Anandpur Sahib to secure it from Mughal invasions. So moving to the gallery 3, actually the reason behind this whole concept, that is the birth of Khalsa. In 1699, as I told you earlier, Guru Gobind Singh Ji formed the Khalsa Panth at Anandpur Sahib. He chose Panch Pyaras, and it has been showed with the help of the carved pictures, the 5 beloved ones. And here you can see a mini auditorium also, where you can sit for the short screening on the creation of the Khalsa Panth. And for that, the narration has been done by the Bollywood stars Divya Datta and Kabir Bedi. And moved to the next, that is gallery 14. And as after the formation of the Khalsa, years of the struggle followed, during which Guruji lost his family and his army. He completed the Guru Granth Sahib even, and before becoming one with the Almighty, Guru Gobind Singh Ji declared that henceforth the Guru Granth Sahib would be the only Guru of all Sikhs. So it was shown with the help of this big, massive metal sculpture, and this is the engrossed one over here. Every other thing is engrossed over here. It's quite big and quite huge, and all metalwork. From here, you have to go downward to the lower level, and on the way, you can read the short quotes from Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And this particular thing is a gach work. I can show it over here. This is a gach work, and this is the second phase of the museum, which was opened in November 2016. And the 13 galleries in this particular phase trace the socio-political and the religious development of the Sikh community from the early 18th century to the present time. And these galleries showcases the contribution of Sardar Banda Singh Bahadur to colonial times. Move to the next, as this is the Banda Singh Bahadur gallery. Banda Singh Bahadur command lasted a belief period during which community emerged as a power capable of shaking the foundations of the Mughal rule. But later, after multiple attacks, Banda Singh Bahadur and his companions were finally captured and taken to Delhi. And you can see in the picture, these pictures actually can give you the goosebumps, because the torture which has been actually faced by the Sikhs and every other person at that time, it is something which is hard to believe, and makes you stand still. And it is showcased with the help of the wooden carved murals and the projected mapping too. And when you move forward, these are the Sikh missals, they are the gallery. This is again another phase in the Sikh history which is dedicated to the missals. And through the 12 missals, the Sikhs became the true caretaker of the ruler of the Punjab. And these are also known as the Dal Khalsas. This gallery includes the embossed metalwork and the different automated mannequins. These mannequins actually look almost real. And this is the main attraction for the kids, must say. And it depicts the Khalsa victorious over the Mughals. And it also shows the peace and the prosperity in the Punjab at the time of the Sikh missals at this particular time. This picture is showing that time, and these are the cutworks. This is not a painting, these are the hand cutouts and hand painted cutouts. And in fact, this particular gallery also used the shoebox holographic projection and the customized LED screens, which enhances the beauty of the gallery. Move to the next, that is gallery of Maharaja Ranjit Singh Ji. Everybody knows his work in the Sikh history, and it has been showcased with the help of the moving screen, which seems to be a double panorama screen, which showcases the coronation ceremony of Maharaja Ranjit Singh in the British period. And there is a black curtain which turns up, and the two walls of the gallery became a panorama screen, such that the horse from one wall moves to the other wall, and you can easily imagine how it is. And this gallery includes the miniature set with the automation as well. So these particular galleries, you can say one of the favorite for the kids as well, because it shows the moving part. This is how the screen moves up. As I told you, it's a moving screen. Moving to the next, it also includes this is again the attraction of for the kids, must say, because these are the automated robots of Master Tara Singh Ji and other Sikh leaders, and these actually are the movable robots with the expressions as well, so it attracts the kids too much. And this is the main attraction of the museum, and obviously the new one too, so the kids are more attracted towards these mannequins and the robots, which are the automated ones. Move to the next, this is the colonial times, and actually later on, like the whole of the picture is like when you move from one place to other, so you can see moving from colonial from the Banda Singh Bahadur time to the colonial time, there are a number of things which has been displayed, and it also includes the Ghadar movement, the partition movement, and everything has been displayed on the wall so beautifully that it will make you stand still, and you will actually enjoy this. But actually, as I told you, or as I promised you for the virtual tour, so taking to the virtual tour through the beautiful video, just enjoy a video clip from the Virasat-e Khalsa.
सच्चे गुरां दे नाम ते ओदे प्यार दे पैगाम ते सच्चे गुरां दे नाम ते ओदे प्यार दे पैगाम ते कुर्बान
Rupinder ma'am. Hopefully enjoyed the video as well as the description given by me.
Museum journey, I think viewers, it just leaves you spellbound. And also I think we bow our heads to all those brave spirits and souls. But again, I cannot, stop myself from interrupting the speakers today, because as I said in the beginning, I think while every part of India has been so incredible till now, but here, because I have a little different sort of connect, I must make mention therefore of not just the brave men from Punjab, but I want to make mention of two spectacular women who must be mentioned. Mai Pagoji from the 17th century and 18th century, who went on to become the bodyguard of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. She was adept at homemaking, but she was also taught the martial arts and the gatka and archery by her father. And that's about being, I would say Atmanirbhar. When we talk about it, it's Atmanirbhar about being yourself. And I think that's the phenomenal learning that we get from these brave women who have given us these examples, and therefore must mention also Sada Kaurji. She was the mother-in-law of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And she led the Kanhaiya missile, and she was leading a battalion of 8,000 cavalry men. And she's supposed to have led so many wars and so many negotiation, talks. So what we are just trying to show you through this is that this is not just a land of tandoori chicken, as Jaswinder said, and lassi or makke di roti, but it's a land which has seen so much, is having so much valor, but at the same time having so much warmth in it. And so at this point, I'm now going to pass on to Lady Kishwarji. Kishwar, pleasure to have you once again with us. Kishwar, you need to unmute yourself.
Unmute, yes. Thank you so much, Rupinder Braji. This is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to look at this brave land of Punjab, as you said, of brave men and women. And that is the reason why actually we set up the Partition Museum, which is a museum in Amritsar. It is very close to the Golden Temple. It is only about 5 or 6 minutes walk from there. It is set in a very, very beautiful colonial building called the Town Hall, which itself is more than about 150 years old. The reason why, this museum, I think, is very relevant today, particularly, is because it is a very inspirational museum. It tells you, even when you have lost everything, and in these times, during the time of the pandemic, when all of us sometimes feel very disheartened, this is the kind of museum one should go towards to just understand that how so many millions of men and women lost everything during the partition, and yet they pulled themselves up and they became leaders of society. They set up homes for each other, they helped each other, and that is why the Partition Museum today, I think, has a unique role to play. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, why do we feel that this museum was so important for us to set up? It's a museum which is really all about the people and what they lost during the partition. We set this up on the 70th anniversary of the partition because, and when I say we, I must clarify that this is a people's museum. It is not a museum, which is only about the kings and rajas and maharajas, in fact, or the leaders. This is a museum that looks at what the people went through at that time. Because those of us who know the history during that period understand that the partition was actually announced 2 days after the independence of India. This was a very clever ploy by the British because they did not want to take on the onus of the partition. They wanted that this should be something that the Indians should be themselves responsible for. So on the 17th of August, 1947, partition was announced, and for many people, they did not know which country they would wake up in. And many of them indeed woke up to realize that they had to move. So many left from what is now Pakistan to come to India. and then the reverse migration also took place. It was horrible because in that overnight severance of this wonderful country on both sides, it happened in Bengal and it happened in Punjab, millions of people, in fact, over around 14 to 18 million people were impacted. Millions died in this. And Rupinderji has mentioned women earlier. I also want to point out that many, many women were unfortunately cruelly abducted and raped and murdered. And yet many of them also bravely crossed their borders with the men and stood shoulder to shoulder to build the new country to which they were migrating. Next, please. How did they leave? You know, you have seen these visuals many times, and I do want you to take another look at these kind of photographs that come out from 1947. Because this was done overnight, many people had no time to prepare. They had to just get onto any kind of form of transport. In fact, you've also seen the visuals of the caravans, which, you know, the long, long lines of people that actually had to leave their homes with very little. And this is the kind of experience many of them had. They were sitting on top of the train because they did not have any place to actually get into any form of transport. And when we talk about the women, you know, I along with the team tried very hard to get visuals of women, and this is what we see, that we see all these men. Where are the women? The women are actually hiding inside. If you look at very closely at these photographs, you will see that the women had to actually hide at that time because there was a lot of looting and violence, and a lot of it was directed towards the women and the children who were often abducted because, unfortunately, due to the suddenness of this decision that was imposed upon the people of India at that time. It had been pre-decided. Yes, partition had been pre-decided, but the announcement came as a sudden shock. And that is why so many people were uprooted. And that is why we thought that this is a migration, which is the world's largest migration, human migration till date, needs to be recorded, needs to be commemorated, while those people who went through this experience are still with us. Because as I mentioned, the museum was actually completed on the 17th of August, 1947, 70 years later, 2017. It was completed on 70 years after the partition had taken place. But the work we had started around 5 years earlier. Next, please. This is what we see on the borders today. And because this was the only kind of memento that we were left with, these cruel barbed wires, actually what we needed was a space where people could go and see what their families had undergone. And indeed, as I said, take inspiration from the fact that despite of that they lost everything overnight, they were still able to get themselves going again and to find a reason to rebuild their lives and the lives of those around them. And we needed to gather whatever we could, because please remember, it was already 70 years. So a lot of the material that they had carried with them was already lost, and the archives that we needed to build. So this museum was actually built from scratch. When we started on this journey around 5 years ago, we had nothing. It is truly a people's museum because people came forward and they felt that they must join us in trying to build this and also preserving the memories of what their parents had gone through. Next, please. What do we find? You know, in this chart, you will see that there are a lot of other countries who have actually built memorials and tried to commemorate those instances that changed their country forever. And the partition, of course, for us was one of them. As I said, not only in Punjab, but also in Bengal. And because this meant that not only were families disrupted, family members were lost forever. We have thousands of stories now in the museum which tell you about how entire families were completely wiped out. And friends talk about, we don't know what happened to this person, we don't know what happened to that individual. And this is the tragedy, because we were not able in 70 years to try and get these memories together. So what do we find? That other countries have done it. Of course, the most recent is the 9/11 Museum, which is in New York, and they have commemorated that event, and they have inscribed all the names of the people that they lost. Similarly, we have the Apartheid Museum, again, a very moving one. In South Africa, we have the Hiroshima Museum, which again, not only remembers all the people that was lost, but also commemorates their lives, so that we also learn that this kind of an event, this sort of thing should never, ever happen again, and why the world must live in peace and harmony. Indeed, that is the big takeaway from this museum. Next, please. Well, when we opened the museum completely, it was in August 2017. As I said, this was 70 years after the partition. However, what we had to do was very quickly contact all the people. You can imagine, we are a small NGO, we are a small trust, but we were very fortunate that so many people understood what we were trying to do, and in fact joined forces with us and decided to give us material that we could put in the museum, and also record oral histories, which are very, very essential, because a lot of the people who had actually seen the partition with their own eyes were already, they would have been about 15 or 20 years old when partition took place. So many of them were 85, 90 plus, when we recorded their oral histories. And I cannot tell you that what a moving experience it was for all of us, because many of them said that we had lived in silence for all these years. Because why? Nobody asked us. Nobody asked what we had been through. And this, the biggest tragedy that we found was unfolding before our eyes. Rupindra Braji, when you talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, we must also remember that being self-reliant also means being able to be proud of whatever we have, whatever is our heritage, however painful it might be. And for many of us, many grandchildren, it was a true revelation to sit down and record the stories of their parents and grandparents, stories that they had never heard before, and stories, each one of them more powerful than the other. Next, please. So this, of course, is the building, which is really glorious. And when it is lit up, this is what the town had. And honestly speaking, when we started on this journey, I have to, as I said, we had very little to begin with. We didn't have much money, but we put in our own resources. We begged from people. People donated material to us, donated money to us. But we were even offered land. Yes, I want to put this on record, that when we started, there were individuals, ordinary individuals, who came forward and said, please take my home. This is a kind of museum that needs to be made. Someone else even offered us land. He said, please take, but we were not able to do that. We needed a ready-made structure. And that is where I'm eternally grateful to the Punjab government that came forward, gave us a structure, and we were able to very quickly, I have to say, within 6 months, set up this museum. And if the museum has been set up, I have to say, it is a complete miracle, which I put down to the spirits of all those millions who lost their homes overnight. Next, please. Okay, so like I said, it's very close to the Golden Temple. It's right next door. And please, any one of you going to Amritsar, do just walk across. The Wagah border is a place many people visit, but they have no idea of the pain it represents. They have no idea of the history behind the creation of that Wagah border. So it's only when they come to the Partition Museum that they begin to understand what exactly happened. Because in the Partition Museum, next please, we have objects like this. We have real objects given to people who died. For example, this belongs to a gentleman who was shot dead when he was trying to cross the border. The family has given us the stopwatch, and he was identified through the stopwatch, because in those days, very few people who lived in small towns or even villages had watches like this. And you can see that there is something written there, 1947, which is when he passed away and he died. So the museum is made up of objects, real objects that belonged to real people like this. Next, please. This is again a very, very moving story told by this lady called Sudarshana Kumari, who was forced to leave with her mother when she was not even 10 years old. She was just a little girl. This is a lock and a key which they'd carried with them at that time, which they've donated to the museum. When she tells her narrative, when she tells her story, how she had no toys to play with, she had nothing, because being a young girl, she didn't know what was going on. And with her own eyes, she saw people being shot dead. She saw houses being looted. And when she tells her narrative, she cries, because she also is able to re-experience what happened. But you know, it is like a catharsis, because as I said, she, like so many other people, have told us, why has no one asked us this story before? Because we needed to tell people how this country was built. It was not just built through the freedom fighters, through the leaders, it was also built by us, because we had to leave our homes and cross the border and come across. And that was one of the conditions that gave us independence. Next, please. So we have a lot of oral histories playing. Now, the wonderful thing about going to this museum is you see a lot of faces which are older than, you know, what you see on the streets around you. India has a very young population. But when you walk into this, you find the stories of people who are older and somehow who have lived through so much and who have seen so much. Next, please. And you can listen to them. So again, and you know, the wonderful thing is, despite whatever happened during the partition, they bear no ill will towards anyone. And here is, for example, one gentleman who's talking about the fact that whenever he closes his eyes, he's back on the streets of Lahore and he's wandering around there, even though now, of course, he does not live in Lahore anymore. He lives in Delhi, but he still is very, very nostalgic for the years he spent as a young man growing up and having to lose all his friends and everybody he knew overnight. Next, please. However, this particular photograph is what is happening today during the pandemic. We have put this photograph out here to let you know that despite everything, despite the fact that we have a real struggle, we are trying always to raise money, to keep this museum going, to keep collecting narratives, to keep collecting material. This is how our team is working today. They're working remotely. So our work never stops, because we are always in a race against time. We have to gather all these oral histories which are scattered all over the globe. So this is our team here recording the story of one of those people who lost everything during the partition and what happened to her. But now, of course, we're doing it remotely. As soon as the pandemic is over, we will go back to doing our contact. People are still getting in touch. And if any one of you is listening to this, please get in touch with us. We would love to record this. Next, please. The museum also has lots and lots of personal letters, papers, diaries that belonged to people in 1947. They have also given us, clothes and textiles, things that you will never see today. For example, our grandmothers used to weave case banandi sige. These are mats sort of thing which you spread. Now nobody knows what a case is, but it lies now in our museum. And the pulkaris, which were hand stitched at that time, those are in the museum as well, which mothers used to sit and embroider themselves for their daughters. Those kinds of memories which are long lost are now in the museum as part of the culture of Punjab, which needs to be preserved, which unfortunately had this terrible division take place. Now, for example, this is a letter which was written from a father to a son. The father is writing, he's writing from a village, he's surrounded by rioters, and he's writing to his son, I don't know if I'll ever see you again, but I do want to write to you that I am here in the village waiting for God knows what to happen next. It is a very poignant letter. And you know, through this letter, two families that had lost touch with each other came to the museum, and then they were united again because they found that they knew somebody, you know, the son who had donated this letter to us. Next, please. Again, we have lots of family photographs. This was again a couple that was divided during the partition. They were engaged to be married to each other. They lost each other, and then they found each other again in a food queue in Amritsar. So it is a very moving thing. So he was carrying the briefcase, which was full of his property papers at that time when they met again in the food queue. So this was a marriage meant to happen, and she was you know, carrying a pulkari coat, which was actually meant for her wedding. And you know what? They have donated that briefcase. The family, of course, they are no more, but their family has donated the briefcase and the pulkari coat to the museum to memorialize, to remember how this couple almost had lost each other and then they met again. So yes, the museum is also about love. It is also about loss, and it is also about memories that we should preserve. It's also about wonderful stories. Next, please. Next, please. Hello, I think, okay. So let me just keep telling you a little bit more about the museum while we try and change the slide. Basically, the museum also has installations like this. Now, we also based this. This is a installation of a ruined house. This is what many streets, in fact, in Lahore and Amritsar and many other cities in Punjab looked like when the partition took place. And this house that we have recreated, whatever was left, is based on actual photographs. So, and it also has within it the utensils, the buttons that people carried with them. So these are real life objects that we have placed inside to just give you an idea of what it was during the partition, what people had to flee from and run away from. Next, please. Of course, we have an entire gallery that is devoted to what happened after the people came to the new country that they had then migrated to. Many of them had to live in refugee camps. And those of us who are not familiar with the story of partition, when we go around Delhi, we look at the Red Fort, we look at Humayun's tomb and say, oh, very beautiful. But actually speaking, this is a scene from the Humayun's tomb. What it looked like when it was nothing but a whole sea of tents, and each person inside those tents had been issued a refugee card. It is hard for us to remember and hard for us to think that many of our parents and grandparents who came here they had no identity left once they left wherever they were coming from. They were only identified through that refugee card because they had nothing, and they were forced to live in tents like this, which were, as I said, in the Red Fort, in the Purana Killa, in Humayun's tomb, and everywhere else, Nizamuddin, wherever. In fact, some of the famous places that we go to now, like Khan Market and so on, to shop, these were all refugee colonies. These were all shops that were given by the government to the people, refugees who had come. Even Janpat was another one of those, which was actually set up by refugee traders. So there's a lot of this history that you will find in our museum about how contemporary India was built. Next, please. We also have a lot of art in the museum. We are very fortunate, for example, that on the left-hand side, you will see a drawing by Mr. S.L. Prasher, who was at that time, when partition took place, the vice principal at the Mayo College in Lahore. And in fact, he and his family had to leave overnight, and all his paintings, whatever he had made, were completely lost. And then he became the camp commander of the Baldev Nagar camp in Ambala. This is what he saw with his own eyes. You know, for me, it's very unusual to see a Sikh crying. I mean, I have never ever seen this, because I always think upon them as a very brave race, as people who really fight back. But these, you see, he didn't have a camera, they had nothing, but he used little scraps of paper, and you will see this in our museum, tiny bits of paper which he would tear out from his children's notebook, and he would just draw what he saw in Baldev Nagar camp in front of him. People crying, women raped, families completely devastated. Whatever he saw, it is like a photograph in front of you, and you can just visualize what this individual must have. We must remember these people. Many of them are nameless, but these are the people who helped us come where we are today. And of course, the painting next to his is by the famous artist Satish Gujralji, who is now no more with us. But he also was an eyewitness to what had happened. And he always, whenever I interviewed him, anyone else spoke to him about the partition, he would cry, and he always said that this was a time, the only time that he saw there was no compassion in anyone, you know, because the kind of things which were happening. But fortunately, these artists, these great artists, have made their paintings. So we do have paintings like this also from Krishan Khannaji, and also others who experienced partition. Next, please. Next, please. Yes. So we also have government documents, you know, so basically this museum is a people's museum. It is all about what happened to the people, but we also went through thousands of files, both in India and in the UK, to drag out all the information that you and I did not know for so many years, because the story of partition is not taught in depth, either in this country or abroad, because as I said, for many years, there was a complete silence in this, but we have managed to gather lots of actual physical documents which help you understand each step of the way. Next, please. So these are visuals of the various galleries. I just want to explain to you that we do have different galleries devoted. It is like a narrative. It is a story that we are telling. What we do is we tell the entire story, not just starting with when the partition took place, because I always say that when a couple gets divorced, we need to know what happened before the divorce took place. So we also tell the story of what was Punjab like, what happened, and we take the people. It's like a book with 14 chapters. So there are 14 chapters in this, there are 14 galleries in the museum, and each gallery will take you through a different experience. It's an experiential museum. When you go in, there is poetry, there is music playing, there are lots and lots of oral histories and documents. Okay, next, please. I think I need to conclude soon, so can we just go to the next few slides, and then we will conclude. Just one more slide, and then we can, yes. I just wanted to show you this, because when I said just now that this museum is basically like a story, but we also have a lot of people who come and listen to it, including we have made arrangements for people who have to come in wheelchairs and so on, because we understand a lot of the people are also elderly who want to visit this museum. So with the help of the Punjab government, we have made it disabled friendly. We also get, next please, we also get a lot of school children visiting the museum. This was something that we were very keen on right from the beginning. We need children to be interested in history. Why? Because a museum like this makes them understand what their parents and grandparents have gone through, and brings also the family closer. There is greater understanding then on what India has gone through, what Punjab and what Bengal have gone through. And I do want to emphasize that we also have a gallery which is devoted entirely to what happened in Bengal. And that is also a very important area which we are now developing. Next, please. Okay, so now we have had extremely good reviews. We have had lots of high-profile visitors. when the museum had just opened, when it was just a few galleries. We had the then Finance Minister, Mr. Arun Jaitley, come in and inaugurate it, which we are very, very grateful for, because his presence meant a lot to us. And then we've also had very high-profile visitors like President Trudeau from Canada, who also came and gave us a lot of courage to go forward. Okay, I think I'll wind up here, because we've also had excellent reviews from all over the world. We are also at the top of the list where TripAdvisor and others, I say that when you come to Amritsar, you must visit the Partition Museum. And I do hope you will come. It is a people's museum. It is your museum. It is dedicated to the people of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lady Kishwar. As always, we are always running short on time. यही बात है ना, viewers, अपने देश में कहीं भी चले जाइए, किसी हिस्से में भी चले जाइए, विरासत, कहानियां, लोग, कमाल का है ये देश. And before we move forward to the last speaker of today's session, Shri Khalsa ji, I must remind all of you that next Saturday, 12th ko, we'll be showing you another incredible part of our country. We'll be walking you through a whole philosophy, and that's Buddhism. So 12th is going to be dedicated to the steps of the Lord Buddha in our country. And one question, Kishwarji, before we move to Harjapji, people are asking, whom should they contact for handing over documents or pictures of their grandparents?
Yeah. We have, Hanji, we have a website, and we also have a Facebook page. They can just connect with us, and it's info@partitionmuseum.org, or they can just go to the website and connect with us. It's very easy.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So viewers, now coming to the last speaker of today, Punjab Singh Aujla ji, a very senior person who's associated with India. So Aujla ji, Sat Sri Akal and welcome. We would like to hear from you.
I will give Ishwar a little piece of advice. Ishwar, right now you are running a Partition Museum in the old town hall of Amritsar. That building is half empty right now. You have made a good museum, but you don't have that much of footfall there. And that's why you have to do some fundraisings too. But if the other portion you can take over and build a film pictorial museum of India over there, you will see as many tourists as Jallianwala Bagh gets, maybe a little less than the Golden Temple gets, and all your losses will be wiped out, and you will be doing pretty well and running 2 museums. So the other portion is empty. They want to make a food street there, but there are already so many food places in there that we don't want to over congest it, and it will become dirty. So make it a film pictorial museum, and that's what my advice to you is.
I think that's a fantastic suggestion, and I'm sure the museum authorities would like to take it. And a couple of other inputs from you, because we are short on time, so really valuable advice coming there from Aujla ji. Anything else that you would like us to be hearing from you?
The other is, we have already one very successful tourist circuit in Punjab. That is the Amritsar circuit. Let us include Kapurthala in it, Harike in it, some relics in Gurdaspur district, and also the Ranjit Sagar Dam in it. And from Amritsar, the tourism will spread to other parts of India, of Punjab. We are developing Patiala now, and I wish them the best of the luck for the new tourist spot which they are creating. And I think that should be all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Both very, very important advice. So viewers, when you're in Amritsar, Gurudware jaake matha teko hi and do take blessings of the Vaheguru. but also see the beautiful Partition Museum, very close to Anandpur Sahib. Do not miss the amazing Virasat-e Khalsa Museum. And there's so much else that has been told to you today. You can spend a few days in Punjab. So when the lockdown's over, safer to travel, do travel through the beautiful, beautiful green state of Punjab. And on the 12th, join us on a journey of the Lord Buddha's steps in India. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining us, encouraging us, and thank you all the presenters for today, NEGD, for joining us and making such a huge success of Dekho Apna Desh. Namaskar. Sat Shri Akal.